All right, our next speaker comes, we can claim as one of our own. Our next speaker will be Matt Coley, who comes as a member of Georgia Cotton Commission and serving as vice chairman of the commission. Matt brings a really unique set of skills to the commission and to the cotton industry. After he graduated from University of Georgia, he went to DC and worked on Senator Chambliss's staff in '08 throughout that farm bill. So he saw how the sausage was really made. Then he came home. He started farming with his dad, and they own and operate a gin and a peanut buying point and several other things. And I thought that last night about he doesn't really follow in his father's footsteps. Chuck is a tremendous leader in the cotton industry and has done so much. But Matt's kind of charting his own course and involved in so many ways throughout the industry, not just in Georgia. And the hat he wears today is as a oversight member of the board of directors of U.S. Trust Protocol. Probably one of the most important topics that we can talk about in these days. Again, Matt, I think as I think about my word of transition, maybe this is a transition for our growers to move to a different way of marketing our cotton. It may come to that. So thank you for being here, Matt. We look forward to your comments.
Appreciate it, Lee. If y'all will bear with me for a minute, I'm going to try to get a PowerPoint to pull up. All right. Well, I think we got it. This is, I believe this may be the first PowerPoint I've done since I defended my graduate thesis, and that was back in 2005. So but I appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk on behalf of the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. I've been involved in this process since it was a sustainability task force that the Cotton Council created back when another Georgian, Ronnie Lee, was chairman of the Cotton Commission. So this has been to get to the point where we're at now, the cotton industry has made a tremendous commitment to it, and a lot of effort has gone in from across all segments of the industry. But how we kind of got there, as our ultimate customers, consumers, began demanding to know more and more about where the food they eat came from, where the clothes they wear come from, and the production practices that go along with that commodity. So, we as cotton growers in the U.S., we have, we know that we are some of the most sustainable growers in the world. We grow some of the best cotton in the world. We've got high quality cotton. We've got high yields. We're on the forefront of technology, but there wasn't ever anything that quantified and verified what we were actually doing here in the U.S. So that's how the trust protocol was developed to be that resource for brands and retailers, to where they can source they can ensure that they're sourcing sustainably produced cotton fibers. One thing that's unique about this trust protocol, the Cotton Council brought in not only representatives from all segments of the cotton industry, we also have representatives from NGOs on there, like the World Wildlife Fund. We've got brands and retailers on there. So we're getting, as this trust protocol was developed, you're getting input from everybody who is going to have an impact on. And ultimately, we're trying to come up with a product that is going to be something that's very easy for the grower to go through and show what they're doing on the sustainable front. But as I mentioned earlier, this trust protocol is going to measure, validate, and verify the sustainability credentials for U.S. cotton. By joining the trust protocol, you're going to be able to demonstrate that your cotton is grown responsibly and sustainably, and you're going to be able to demonstrate that the U.S. is a leader in sustainable growing practices. So 30,000-foot view of how this program is going to work. You as a grower will go on there, and there will be a list of questions, a self-assessment questionnaire that you'll go through, and you'll answer based on your farming operation. After that, there'll be a field print analysis. Some of you may be familiar with that. Some of the farm production software programs out there are linked to the system, where if you're already entering some of that data into that program, it's a few simple steps. We'll be able to transfer all that information into the trust protocol. If not, the trust protocol on the website that was developed in conjunction with the SEAM. It's very user friendly, and there's a way in there you can go in and answer a handful of questions about your a particular field in your operation, and that'll satisfy the requirements on the field print analysis. So this is the website for the trust protocol. It's just trustuscotton.org. As I mentioned earlier, it's a very user-friendly website. As you can see here, there's I've got the Join Now and the Grower tab highlighted. If you haven't signed up, I encourage you, or if you haven't looked at the website, I encourage you to check it out. There's a lot of information on there, and it's very easy process of signing up and joining. And what I have here is a video that the Cotton Council put together, kind of showing the sign up process. I'll try to get this started.
Hello, I'm James Fuller with the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol, and today I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to sign up as a new grower on our website. To begin, go to any browser and type in U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. Click on the website, and then you can go right up here to the Join Now button. Click on that. I'm going to go in as a farmer producer. Click that button, hit Continue. And this is where you include your personal information, first name, last name, mobile telephone number, and email address. And you also need to indicate how you'd like us to contact you via email, text, phone, and then hit section is going to ask a little bit about your farm. First question being how much of your farm is irrigated. For me, that's about 25%. So I'll put that in. Next, it asks me how many other crops I grow. And for us, we grow a little bit of corn. So I'll click corn and continue. Now it's going to ask me where I grow at. And that's in New Mexico. And it also asks me how many acres I grow, and I grow about 500 acres, and continue. Now it asks me what county I grow in, and I'm in Chaves County, but if you operate in multiple counties, you can click multiple counties on the map and continue. This is our privacy policy. It's important that you take a time to review the privacy policy. At the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol, all of your information is held as confidential and private, and we will not share your information with other growers or anyone else outside of the organization. Once you're comfortable with that, click I agree and continue. The next step is to enter in a password that only you know. So go ahead and type that in, and you'll know you complied with the requirements on the safety of the password when all the check marks are green. The next step is to verify your account by going to your email, looking for the email that will be sent to you by the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. Click on the verify button, and once you click on the verify button, it will redirect you to the website where you can re-enter in your password, and that will take you to the member grower dashboard. Now, we fully registered as a grower member, and we've completed the first step of becoming a formal member of the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol as a grower. Our next step is to go ahead and complete the self-assessment, and that takes about 30 to 45 minutes to complete, which brings us to the very first category of questions for the assessment, which is soil health. But as you can look down the left bar here, you see all of the questionnaire topics that we'll have to cover. Now, going back up to soil health, here are the questions that we have to address in soil health. There's a total of 10 questions, and as you can see here on the left top corner, you have a gauge. And as I answer each of these questions, I will get a green mark for each question I answer until ultimately all of these gauge items are full. And that tells me I've completed the questions in this section of assessment. So let's go ahead and begin first by the compliance questions. It's important to note that each section will have a number of compliance section questions that you have to answer in the affirmative, or you won't be able to complete the assessment. With this one on soil health, it's asking me to assure that my farm meets all conservation compliance provisions within the U.S. farm law, and as well as any other state and local requirements that might be placed on my operation. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and answer A, I'm in compliance. And then you'll notice that there are about 2 or 3 categories per each section that you'll answer for, and we're going to go down to the management planning section. And it asks me whether or not I've worked with an advisor or a mentor who has expertise in soil health to better gauge where I am on my soil health in my operation. Now, for each of the questions below compliance, we have 4 different potential answers. In this you have, I do that now for most of my fields, that's A, or B, I am implementing this for 1 or more of my fields, or C, I will consider this in the next 3 years, and then finally, that's not appropriate for my farming operation. And so if you notice, if you click that button, there is a drop-down box that gives you some additional options to give a little bit more clarification as to why it's not appropriate for your operation. Moving on to the second section of the assessment, tillage operations. I'm just going to answer 2 or 3 of these questions and read them out loud so you get a feel for what you're going to be asked. These are very common questions that you've answered for a number of surveys that you probably had to fill out over your time as an operator. But again, utilize conservation tillage practices such as minimum, strip, mulch, or no-till. I've done that on almost all of my farms, so I'm going to click that for all of my fields. Prevent or alleviate soil compaction through prescribed tillage operations, control traffic patterns, or by avoiding traffic where I know I have common moisture in my soil. Of course, I do that for most of my fields where I know I have some tendency to have some moisture or where I need to have prescribed traffic flows. I'm just going to go ahead and click through the rest of these questions so I can show you a few other features of the survey and the assessment tool. So again, as you notice on the top left, you can see I've gone through and I've answered every question along the bar gauge, and it shows I'm done for this section, and I can hit continue. But if you need to stop there and go on to something else and come back, you won't lose the progress you've made on the tool, and so you can begin again where you've left off. So let's go ahead and skip on down to one of the larger or the largest section, which is crop protection. And so as you can see, there's a little bit of a larger gauge here. This is probably the largest questionnaire of each assessment section. But you'll note that of those numbers, 15 questions involve compliance requirements. So I'm going ahead and I'm clicking through to show you all of the compliance questions that come under this larger section. Now let's move on to the actual topical, more quantitative recommendations that they have. And again, you'll see there are subjects. Scouting is one. Cultural practices is another. Chemical control is finally the third section, for a total of 25 questions in this particular section. I'm going to read just a few, so again, you get a feel for the types of questions you'll be asked. Do you use any plant-based measurements to help determine economic thresholds for when and how you use some of your crop protection? For that, I'm going to go ahead and say I do that for some of my operation. So again, I'm going to go ahead and complete each of these sections. So you see, as I fill these out, the gauge completing. And you'll notice I've missed a few going backwards. I skipped over a few, so you can go back and take a look at those. The US protocol has done a little bit more data and information, or you can provide a comment if you need to have a little bit more information shared with how you've approached that cultural practice. You can add and increase a comment. You can click on review. You'll see your answers. And back to whether or not you think you answered something correctly, you can either type on this side, and this is going to show you how your answers compare to everyone else inside the platform so far and what they've completed on that question. So as you can see, I answered along with 86% of those in this same category. And if you want to just go a little bit further and validate the question, make sure you answered it correctly, you can also click on this button, the I button, which gives you a little bit more information about that question just to make sure you've answered it absolutely correctly. Congratulations, you're now a member of the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. You've signed up, verified your information, and you've completed the self-assessment for your operations as well. There's only 2 steps that remain to complete your registration for the 2020 growing season. First, you need to go back in the dashboard and let us know who your marketing company and the gen is that you use for your farm. This is important because it enables us to begin the credit monitoring system for your credits so that we can track your credits from farm all the way through the supply chain, ultimately to the brands and retailers that purchased your cotton. Secondly, and most importantly, you must complete your field assessment before the end of the year. The field assessment tool and survey are also located on the dashboard, and we built that in conjunction with Field to Market, an organization I'm sure you've heard of before. The great benefit to completing the assessment, and again, that must include at least 10% of your full acreage as a farm for you to qualify as a grower member for this year's yields. But once you've completed that assessment, the data that will be provided to you and the tools that we have available on the dashboard will enable you to confidentially assess where you stand on these key measures compared to those in your region, in the state you live in, and even nationwide where those benchmarks exist. So we're hopeful that those data points will help you drive continuous improvement, better efficiency, and higher yields, and ultimately a better profit for your product. I want to thank you again for becoming a member of the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. Because of your efforts, we're going to build a brighter, smarter cotton future for everyone. Thank you.
All right, as you can see from that short video, that the sign up process is not very difficult, and it's pretty easy to go through. A couple of things I want to highlight from the sign up process. I know many of you probably farm under more than one name. You know, you can sign up an entire operation. You have the ability to go in if you have a Matt Coley Farms and a Chuck Coley Farms, they can both be signed up at the same time. So again, we're trying to make it as easy as we can for the grower. Another aspect, I don't know if you noticed the self-assessment that he was going through on the video, it showed the West region in the top corner. So depending on where you're located, the questions are going to be geared towards your area of cotton production, whatever part of the cotton belt that you're in. And one thing to keep in mind when you're answering these questions, there's no wrong answer. You know, it's I do it now on most of my fields. I'll do it on some of my fields. I will consider doing it over the next 3 years, or it's not applicable to my operation. So, and anytime you have if you've any questions about some of the questions on the self-assessment, there's a information tab that you can highlight over, and it'll give you a little more information about it. He mentioned on there about selecting your gen and or your marketers. You know, I know through this process, as we get growers to sign up, it's vitally important that once they sign up, we get bales uploaded into the trust protocol. That's how the brands and retailers are going to be able to see the commitment from U.S. growers and see that there's value in these trust protocol credits. I know many of you market through your gen. Some of you probably have relationship with buyers. A lot of you market through cooperatives like Staple. So it's going to take a joint effort from all three of those segments of the industry to really make a push to help growers get signed up and get bales uploaded. And the gens and marketers there, as was mentioned earlier, this is subject to some second and third party verification. I think that the hope is that the gens and marketers are going to be able to fill that second party verification role in some aspect. Just to again highlight some of the areas that the self-assessment goes over. There's 9 different categories. There's a little over 100 questions altogether. A lot of the questions on there are the only option is I'm in compliance, and that is where there's federal or state regulations that we as growers have to abide by, and it's things we're already doing on the farm. This is another thing that once you do the self-assessment questionnaire that the trust protocol is going to be able to do is give you some insights and ideas on some of the best practices across the industry. If you go through it and you see that in one area, just say soil management, for instance, that there's things that your operation may be lacking as far as from the sustainability front. This will give you some ideas, increasing your conservation tillage, using cover crops or so forth. So this is over time, the trust protocol is also going to be a tool to show us how we can improve our operations from an efficiency and sustainability perspective. And there's a lot of data. I mean, answering these questions, you're providing a lot of data. I just want to ensure you that this data is not going to be shared individually. All this data is going to be aggregated. The only people that are going to see your individual questions are the people on the administration side of the trust protocol on the back end. So as we get growers to sign up, the data that's presented is going to be aggregate data that shows what we as the entire cotton belt is doing. One thing we've mentioned is the field to market field print analysis. Those of you who aren't familiar with this is a really neat tool. As you go through there and answer, and as the video highlighted, select a field or fields that represent roughly 10% of your cotton operation. There's a series of questions that you have to go in and answer about those individual fields. Just as simple as indicating how many applications you made across the field, from nutrient applications, crop protection applications, asking if you have drain tile in the field. So, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, there's most of those questions, if you don't have them written down in your date book, or aren't already utilizing a farm management software program that is tied into this system, they're easy to come up with answers to that. But once you get all that information in, you'll notice there's a spider graph here, and it shows you how your operation compares to other operations in the nation and in the region and in the state of how of how small your environmental impact is, based on this various criteria. As you can see in this one, there's a couple areas that that this operation has room for improvement. So this spidergram, it's a really neat tool that you can look at your operation. You can see where there's things we may be able to change your management practices just a little bit and show some improvement. So as I mentioned earlier, this has been a multi-year promotion by the Cotton Council. It's taken us several years to get to where we're at now. Last year, we had a pilot program, had a little over 300 producers that signed up that first year. And, you know, the goal is to continue to increase the grower enrollment. For 2020, I believe the last I heard, there was around 560 growers that had either already registered or were in some process of registering. So I just encourage those that have gone in and started the process to please, you know, go ahead and finish it up. We need to get as many growers into this as we can, and get as many bales uploaded into the system. The ultimate goal is by 2025 to have 50% of the cotton crop enrolled in the trust protocol. Just to kind of finish up, as this statement says, the trust protocol enables cotton growers to prove their sustainable stewardship and drive their commitment to continuous improvement. As I mentioned earlier, we know that we're sustainable growers. I mean, part of being sustainable is continuing to be in business year in and year out. And like I'm in the same situation as many of you out there. I'm working the same land my grandfather and great grandfather worked. So you know, this trust protocol is a great opportunity to build on the decades of environmental stewardship and sustainable practices that we as U.S. cotton growers continue to do. Just from some of the previous speakers today, you could tell from Chairman Scott the importance that's going to be placed on climate change and environmental impacts from agriculture. When you look at the slides on the boll weevil eradication program, just that IPM strategy there, we're saving 15 to 20 insecticide applications a year. So, you know, we as growers over the years, we haven't necessarily done a great job of telling our story on the farm about everything we do, the technology we use, and everything we utilize to continue to grow the safest, most abundant, and most efficient and best quality cotton there is in the world. So I just encourage you all to, if you haven't gone to the website, please check it out. One thing to highlight that on the website, there's a contact us tab where you can call or email if you have questions during the process. We've got full-time staff at the Cotton Council that are working on this trust protocol. They also have a grower out of Louisiana that is kind of on call to help answer any grower specific questions there is. So I just encourage you all to go to the website and take the time to help continue to keep U.S. cotton the preferred fiber choice for the world.